pull you to the side and show you certain scriptures to mess your mind up, man. Like Lahab. Lahab was been in the truth longer than all of us put together. And he was never rooted. That's why he's teaching madness that the law is done away with. And the churches are teaching it. He was never rooted. He was just an old stump tree with no roots.
Yeah, the Greek word there for rooted is rhizo, which means to cause to strike root, to strengthen with roots, to render firm, to fix, establish, cause a person or thing to be thoroughly grounded. Pretty much says down here what it says up here.
Causes a thing to be thoroughly grounded. So you've been in this truth for 3 years or 4 years or however many years you've been in this truth, and you let this guy pull you to the side and mess your head up, man. That means you were not grounded, man.
Yeah, I want to bring out an analogy. Elder Ramlab and myself, we do carpentry. Now, we had to build this deck for Elder Sakaran's father, and there was this tree, and we had to build, you had to dig the hole to put the foundation in there. Now, this tree is a giant tree, but the roots was all over the place, man, and the machine we used, we had a hard time because we had to get rid of those roots because the machine had to go into the earth, showing you that, when you have roots, man, you're thoroughly grounded, just like that tree. So that's how we're supposed to be in these scriptures.
Yeah, like you see a mighty tree that has been fallen, nobody chopped it down. You look at the roots are all dead. All right? So you have to be rooted and grounded. I read it again.
All right, rooted and built up in him.
Look up the word built up.
Yeah, the Greek word for built up.
Strong's G 2026. Epoikadameo. Epoikadameo.
Which means to build upon, build up. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Well, let me see what it says down here. Resting on your most holy faith as a foundation, make progress, rise like an edifice higher and higher. Pretty much to build thereon. Right, like it says down here, rise like an edifice higher and higher. So you go from one level of faith to the next level of faith.
You're not supposed to be stagnant. All right, go ahead.
And established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding there.
As you have been taught. Who taught you this? Why did you guys go out on the highways and the byways the way you do? You saw us do it. You mimic what we do. And now you learn. There's certain scriptures that you go into that we never taught you, because now the Most High is beginning to deal with you. Go ahead. But there's guys that are actors. Like I said, there's guys that are not rooted. Go ahead.
It says, abounding therein with thanksgiving. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after the anointed. Verse 9. For in him dwelleth all the fullness of the powerhead bodily.
Now let's go from there to Hebrews, the 13th chapter, the 17th verse.
Hebrews 13 and 17. Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves. For they watch for your souls as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you.
Read again.
It says, obey them that have the rule over you. And
what does it mean to obey them that have the rule over you? It's talking about men on the earth that the Most High set up over other men. There's an order. There's a structure. Go ahead.
It says, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you.
Now let's go to Romans, the 16th chapter and the 17th verse.
Romans chapter 16, verse 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses.
So you got any of those guys that's going off that's teaching anything different than what's been taught, you got to mark a guy like that. You don't buddy up with the guy. You don't say, well, let me get with him and see where he's coming from. You got to mark that guy. And if the dude ain't right, you got to cut him off. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Greek word for mark is scopio, which means to look at, observe, contemplate, to mark, to fix one's eyes upon, direct one's attention to, anyone to look to, take heed to thyself. And that's where you get that word scope from the Greek word scopio.
And all these men under your command, you got to make sure they're being built up, man. If they're on one level, man, you know, they become a reader, and they're not even a great reader. They go to hold a sign. If the sign's always upside down, or they grabbing the wrong side, this man's not focused, man. You're supposed to scope that man. You know? Brothers are supposed to go on the next level, then the next level, then the next level. They ain't supposed to be stagnant. Go ahead.
It says, now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them.
Right, you ain't supposed to hang out with them. You ain't supposed to talk and find out what's, you know, what. Let me see what they really feel. Maybe they was offended. It said avoid them. Look up the word avoid, brother. Verse 17. Your attitude's not supposed to be, well, he's no longer in the camp. I'm going to go out there and speak, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go hang out with him because I deal with his sister. You're supposed to avoid that guy.
Yeah, the Greek word there for avoid.
Strong's G 1578. Eklino. Eklino.
Which means to turn aside, deviate from the right way and course, to turn oneself away, to turn away from, keep aloof from one's society, to shun one.
That's it. All right, you finished? No. Go ahead.
Verse 18. For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushai, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple.
Yeah, so you guys that get caught up and you get your minds messed up, that means you're not rooted, you're not grounded, you're not built up, and you're what? What was that other word that you just read?
It says, for they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushai, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple.
The simple. Look up the word simple. A lot of you guys out there are not grounded, you're not rooted, you're not built up, and therefore that makes you simple. Simple-minded. That's why a man can get into your brain and mess your ass up. Go ahead.
Yep, the Greek word for simple